Welcome to the channel. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist, Gosford, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Why is it that relationships disintegrate? What is the problem with people when they want to stay in a relationship, but the fabric and the fibers and the characteristics that keep and hold and sustain and maintain the relationship begin to snap, break, weaken, and disintegrate? Let's have a little look into what can happen when the evil, sinful nature infiltrates the mind of the person that you're with and yourself, and the relationship, by way of demonic plan, crumbles right in front of your eyes. Let's have a little look. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist. Your life is limited. We have a certain amount of time on this earth. And some people use that time to fill their pleasures, their lusts, their self-destructive habits. And the funny part about that is many people find joy, peace, and serenity momentarily. May I quote the word momentarily, in these self-destructive, dark habits. These habits might help the individual, but over the long run, they destroy the relationships that they have, because by nature, human nature, the human spirit, it wants what's best for itself and for those around them. But if the human spirit has to, just like Jesus himself went and spent time alone, so too does the wise person. The strong, wise person that knows that life is predictable when it comes to the storms and the winds and the rains and the floods and the fires that approach us psychologically and emotionally. These people know that it's not wise to depend on anybody. They look deeper into things. They don't get fooled by the surface. There's a lot of dark people that use their countenance, physical attributes, and charismatic mental prowess to get what they want. But if you take a closer look at where their lives end up, if you take a closer look at the way in which they treat themselves characteristically, what is really going on underneath? You see, narcissism in all its different forms, covert, communal, somatic, aggressive, passive, misguides people in a way in which they bit by bit dismantle the structure and the God-given way in which relationships are built. The narcissist thinks of what is in front of them at that moment. They don't seem to have the foresight in particular cases to understand the consequences of certain dark decisions and habits that they make and have, and how those consequences are going to impact them long term. You see, the masses think in the short term, what they can have now, how they can feel now. And for the most part, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, our feelings deceive us. Feelings come and go. Feelings are wonderful servants, but they should never ever be our master. It's the same with emotions. You might meet somebody, you might like that person, you jump into bed with them, only to find that you've just been used. It wasn't what they said. The sex wasn't all that good either. They were just dirty, rotten predators. And you find yourself on the end of it. This is what living for the moment can do. You might give somebody a loan in the heat of the moment, only to realize, even though it's your partner or your loved one or your love interest, that they ain't never going to pay you back. They never had any intention to pay you back. But in that moment, they triggered your empathy and they triggered your capabilities, the goodness that you have, to work for their selfishness. You were fooled, terribly fooled. That's what happens when we live in the moment. The masses suffer from a severe incapability to have foresight. They just don't seem to be able to think consequentially long term. And what that does, the darkness holds people in a holding pattern, like a jet airplane waiting to land at an airport, but it never gets to land. It's just held, circling what's best for them. They don't get to the ground. They don't get to the ground where the blessing is. They eat all the snacks on the plane and they pay for it. But there comes a time when the plane has to land, and if it doesn't land, it runs out of fuel. Now, the darkness and the shadows of the darkness in which people choose to live through their habits, through their thinking, through their lusts, has a tremendous ability to be able to deceive the rationale of the human mind. And these people become so lazy that their foresight is so dulled that while they're living in the moment, their life is actually passing them by. Illnesses, consequential sicknesses, mental health issues, plagued thinking, torments, mind fog, short-term memory loss, are all the consequences of selfish living. there's no point being in a relationship with somebody that has no union, no fusion, that works in a way to benefit at the utmost the person that they're with. I know this. I've had some terrible relationships with people that for the most part had every capability of being great. But some people just aren't going to do that, and some people just aren't going to be that. And you have to come to that place where you realize that this isn't helping your thinking, this person isn't helping your mindset, this person isn't helping your health, and they're definitely not helping the relationship. What are you supposed to do? Well, the first thing you should do is make sure that you're in the light. Because unless you're in the light, you'll just flounder along in the darkness and accept things, these abusive, horrible things, as being normal. And the shadows certainly ain't going to lead you to the dark, to the light, beg my pardon. The shadows aren't going to lead you to the light. So you're left with some serious choices. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. These choices are going to test your very fibre, because breakups hurt and breakups harm. And breakups can even psychologically maim you. And that's why it's an issue if you don't have foresight. Foresight keeps you in line. It recalibrates you on a daily basis to make sure that you're headed in the right direction. And foresight, used right, leads you into the light, which